fresh smell of lumber. Okay, so this is going to be the start of a documentation process of building a workbench out of just some 2x4s and actually I think it's a 2x8 if I'm not mistaken, for the aprons. But let's not get too complicated yet. I've been watching a lot of Paul Sellers' YouTube videos about making his workbench, which is significantly larger than what I need for my own small garage here. As you can see, not a lot of space. So I'm going to work with what I got and probably make a 5-foot long workbench out of just some 2x4s, and just, and do it as cheaply as possible, as safely as possible, with what I purchased. So let's go over what I bought. Here's some 2x4s. I went to Home Depot and cut up 2x4s that were 8 feet long, at about 5 feet 1 inch, and the rest for the legs. I bought 16 of those, and that's gonna make my work top, and also the legs. So 16 2x4s, which is, I'm gonna say, since 2x4s actual is about 1.5 by, I believe, 3.5, right? So, but I have to take off more because 2x4s are rounded so that they're easier to handle. For people who are working in construction sites, it's a lot easier for them to handle rounded edges than sharp edges like this. I mean, this is actually an example of a 2x4 I just rip cut, so that we can get closer to square. So you can see this is sharp here, and I used a circular saw to do so, which I also purchased. So, I mean, these are basic tools that I think, people have, but also, it's easily obtainable if you're willing to invest a little bit. I've been gathering a lot of supplies just so I could just finish this and without having to worry about just adding on more and more supplies while I'm doing it. I prepared from the beginning. So here's the vise that I'm going to put on, that I purchased from eBay. By the way, Paul Sellers has an amazing blog and also a website. YouTube channel that'll tell you a lot about, namely his Workbench series blog, but also his YouTube. I think it's about like 11 or 12 parts about building a workbench step by step, and it's really amazing. And he definitely recommends using eBay as your cheapest source of used tools and materials for building a workbench. And so I went on eBay and I bought this vise, and it should fit well onto, I don't know if you can see this 2x8 over here, which is going to be the aprons. So, I mean, you'll know more about that later, but I'm actually following Paul Sellers' method of building a workbench. It's gonna be the design that he built it, but with the parts that I bought from Home Depot and at a smaller scale. Yeah, so his lumber, I believe, is bigger, and this is just a lot smaller. It's some modifications. It's going to be a modified version of Paul Sellers' workbench. Okay, so as you can see, I also bought this hand plane from eBay. I forgot how much it costs, but I know it was a lot less than it actually goes for new. And you know, I cleaned it up a bit, so let's see if I can actually sharpen it correctly. I also bought, speaking of sharpening, these diamond sharpening stones. They come like this. I bought 3 of them. One is coarse, other one's fine, and then super fine. I think, let's see. So this is the coarse, fine, super fine. I forgot what grit it is, but I think this is supposed to be like, I don't know if it even says it on the packaging. No, but it's probably somewhere 200 something grit, 600 something grit, 600 to 800 maybe. This is like 1200 or even 2000. You know what? I'm not exactly sure. I should really confirm that. In any case. Oh. So I also have to sharpen my used chisels that I also bought from eBay. Sorry, everything's kind of a mess. Obviously, if you don't have a workbench, it's hard to organize your things. So I'm just getting started and everything's all over the place. So I'm just gonna lay out what I have here. I'm not even doing a good job at filming this, I think. It'll get better. All right, so these were some extras I think that came with this guy, and they came in a package. But I was really mainly looking for wooden handles and a good brand, even if it's old and used like this one. It's not even sharp. I can sharpen it myself, and it'll just last for years. These are gouging chisels. I'm not even sure if I'll ever need it, but it came with this guy, which is what I really wanted. I think this looks like a 3/4. I think this is about a little bit more than a half. Maybe it is actually a half. Sorry about not actually knowing the correct dimensions. And this is about 1 inch. So I think this is a good start if I wanted to make, you know, mortise and tenons, or have fit, make my own poor man's router. So I think that these will be enough to complete my workbench. And this is a marking gauge for, again, making mortise and tenon, or the mortise. Bought it off of, where did I buy it? Did I buy it off of eBay or Amazon? I'm not sure, but I was searching for a good deal, and I believe it came down to about $10. And I was searching for one with a gauge, with 2 gauges that I can adjust. So not gauges, pins, excuse me. So these, and then you could adjust it from this end. Sorry, I only have one hand, but yeah, I think this is a good looking one. It's, I also bought a square. Definitely need one of these. I didn't get a really big one. Obviously, I only got the foot long. I think this is okay to start with. I'm not sure if I'll ever need a bigger one. Combination square, which I used in school a lot at the wood shop. Oh yeah, I went to design school, so I know a little bit about this stuff, but obviously not like Paul Sellers, who's been doing this for 50 years. Okay, so I also bought a hand router from eBay as well, and this was a bit pricey, but I really wanted one, and I think it'll come into use in the future. It's antique. I'm not even sure exactly when it's from. I'm guessing sometime in the early 20th century, but it came all the way from England, even though I think the brand is Stanley, which I believe is an American brand. But it's in really good shape. Everything. I mean, this is just like solid steel. And I know these are all, you know, incredibly strong steel pieces that'll last a really long time as long as I take care of it correctly. So I also bought one of these, the Stanley 10049 knife for making knife walls, and also just, you know, any sort of, if you're gonna start woodworking, you need this sort of knife to mark things. And it was really sharp. It works really well. This is a honing compound that I got from Amazon. This is for the last part of after sharpening your hand plane, or do we use it after chiseling? I'm not even sure. Or chisel sharpening. In any case, this is the last. I know, especially for sharpening your hand plane, you want to go through this sequence: coarse, fine, super fine, and then this with a strop on a strop. So for the strop, I noticed that Paul Sellers had glued or attached a piece of leather to, I believe, a piece of plywood or a piece of wood, and I think I'm gonna try to fit this piece of leather onto, not fit it, glue it onto, I guess, one of those wood pieces over there, or if I could cut it up into a reasonable shape, size. I also bought a couple of saws. Here's a regular 20-inch fine-tooth handsaw, but I think it's a good start to just have one of these guys. I don't think it cost that much. It was not even like $15 at Home Depot, and this was like $12 at Home Depot. I believe this is called a tenon saw, but correct me if I'm wrong. And I'm only calling it a tenon saw because it's straight like this and not triangular like that guy. Okay, continuing on. I bought so much stuff, but you know, honestly, everything combined, it's probably almost $1,000. But you know, if I want to, you know, woodwork for a long time, I think it's really worth it, or at least to start and, you know, have a nice hobby, and but also to perhaps sell some items. I'm not sure yet. Hopefully that's the goal, actually, is to start making furniture, or other small wooden items. Okay, so I also bought some clamps. So these are 36-inch clamps, aluminum clamps, aluminum bar clamps, right? And I bought 10 of them as a set from, I think, toolsandmore.com. It was a really good deal. I think 10 36-inch aluminum bar clamps for about $211 altogether, something like that. I think that's a really good deal because it's about $20 per, and these aren't cheap items if you just, you know, if you just get them one by one. So I knew I needed a lot of these guys in order to start clamping together tabletops, right, or even bench tops. At first there will be a bench top. Also bought a pair of gloves, which is good for handling large amounts of wood. If I'm moving, you know, all these pieces from one place to another, I think it's a good idea to have some gloves so you're not getting splinters. A couple of other items. Yeah, this is really starting from scratch, so I had to buy everything. Let's see, so this is some glass cleaner for the moisture component of sharpening. So, you know, you have to spray it on, what I saw Paul Sellers do is to spray it on the diamond sharpener before he started to sharpen his blades. I mapped out, I drew out what the workbench is actually, how it's going to come together. But you know, it's one thing in drawing and another thing perhaps in practice. So I'm going to see how that goes. So more things. This is really light. It's not one of the heavier guys, but this is a lighter chiseling hammer. I thought it'll do the trick. If I need a heavier one, I'll go and get one. But you know, I think this will be good for now. Of course, wood glue. Got the Type Bond 3 Ultimate. But I really got this because I needed the applicator. But I might need more than this amount, so I bought a gallon. This is a gallon, yeah. A gallon of glue as well. Being extra prepared. In case the sanding gets a little intense, not sanding, but you know, when I'm rip cutting, it might get a little intense. So, got a respirator or a mask. And some other items. Construction screws, 3-inch. 2-inch screws as well. In my design, I knew I needed a 3-inch and 2-inch, and it'll come into play later. I also bought some bolts and nuts and washers. Also will come into play later. I bought 4 of them, so 4 sets. Okay, and what else? Sorry, I'm not being very detailed about exactly what I bought. It could be a list that I put up. Also the specs for my woodbench itself that I put together, that I drew up. I can also put that up. Let's see. Last but not least, I bought a circular saw, which was a really intense purchase because I never bought such a heavy-duty tool like this before. So I bought a skill saw. Here we are. And this is the blade that came with it. It is, I don't even, there used to be more writing on it, but obviously when I was using it, it got, you know, cleaned off. But this is for, you know, it's a coarser blade, so I don't even know if I'm using the right terminology, but I know that this is for, you know, the wider the blades are apart, the faster it will cut, but it's not as, it won't create as smooth of a finish as it would if the blades were finer and closer together. Not the blades, but the actual teeth, right? So anyway, this was about a $100 purchase. It was $10 to get this this guide, which is, this is actually fitted onto this thing, onto the circular saw itself. So this is what I fit in. It actually came with a spring to fit in here, but I took it out. I don't know if that's a good idea. Maybe I should put it back on. But it was hard to adjust with the spring in it by hand. Maybe I should use a tool. So you can unscrew this and you pull it out. So this here is what's guiding your process, which was essential for rip cutting my 2x4s. I realized that 2x4 ripping is a dangerous process, but this is what needed to be done for me. So, you know, I'm taking all the precautions to do it. So it looks like that on the bottom. So this thing, it will pull out. I'm gonna have to put down my iPhone, hold on. You know what?